Niggas don't even be shouting out that girl on they stage shit. It's for Carolina girls across the world. Hey, drop down to the floor, make the booty twirl. Check. You need a girl from the south to fall in love. Check. You need a girl from the south to fall in love. Hey, I know, hey, I know, you got the world in your hands now. Don't let them tear you down. You got the world. You can have anybody if you want to. You can have anybody if you want to. You can drive a Ferrari if you want to. You can buy a Ferrari, I'm saying, you know that I know. Baby, you got the world. Vibe with me. You flew your fine ass out just to vibe with me. We in the 305, just leaving out at 305.
What's up, y'all? It's your favorite host, doing the most, and you know I love to make you wait to the actual intro to get the full thing, but you are tuning into the Give a Mo podcast. We have a very special guest with us today. She goes by the name of Macy, and I hope you guys enjoy it, so kick back and relax and tune in.
What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite host doing the most. You know I love the boss. It's Mo Williams tuning in. And of course, we got the season finale. So we got another surprise. We finally got a female participant. Miss Macy, how you doing?
I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing good. I'm here. Been sick. It is what it is. We're here today. And today, ladies, especially ladies, I told you it's more important to hear what the women have to say than the man. The man are always heard. Today we're going to talk about going from being a caterpillar into a butterfly. And Macy is going to explain to you how to flourish in life. Are you ready?
Yep.
So, what do you consider the caterpillar stage? I mean, of course we know. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to ruin it. So what do you consider the caterpillar stage?
Caterpillar stage, I consider like being in a stage of not knowing who you are, where to go in life, and just feeling like you're stagnant and content.
Okay, so do you think this occur, like, when do you start realizing you in this stage? Like, around what age?
Honestly, I think it depends on the person, because some people naturally flourish at a younger age, and some people, when they get older, they do so. Like, for me, I didn't realize, like, I didn't know who I was until, like, my sophomore year of college, and it was, like, an eye-opener and stuff like that. But I think, honestly, it just depends on the person.
So when you say flourish, do you mean, like, mentally, physical looks? So you say flourish, what exactly is flourishing? Like, just you overall? I know you said getting to know yourself, but some people look at, like, what we call glowing up. Like, you went from looking, regular or basic to now you just popping. Is that a part of this, or is that a whole nother thing?
It can be a part of it. For me, it's more so just learning how to be happy with life and, like, the mental aspect of it. Yeah, physically, if you feel like you look better, that's going to help you mentally as well. But I also think that ties into, like, your self-esteem level and also possibly how you were raised. Like, if your parents always taught you, like, there's nothing wrong with you, this, that, and the fourth, it doesn't really matter what other people say about you physically. I think the mental aspect is something that some people struggle the most with, and it's the hardest part to overcome.
And from, like, what perspective mentally? Like, I'm a big mental person, so, like, what perspective mentally do you think? Like, because I know as a male it's different from a female. So, like, I think as a male we accept flaws in ourselves quicker than women do. I mean, outside of, like, having receding hairline and things of that nature, most males accept things physically, more physically quicker than women. So, like, what exactly mentally is such the hard part of finding yourself?
I would say just basing yourself off of other people and just thinking like you're not where you're supposed to be, so you're going out and doing things that's not even meant for you to do, and then you put yourself back in a place where you shouldn't even be. So just like you're comparing yourself to other people, so I guess it's where like the physical part will get tied into it. So like as a female, like you always think, oh, I'm supposed to look a certain way, my waist is supposed to be snatched, I'm supposed to have bigger boobs and a big butt and have a flat stomach and this, that, and the fourth, and then you look in the mirror and that's not what you have. And then if you have that going on, and then like there's no men really out there as you feel as though aren't attracted to you in a way that you want to be attracted, like all they want is one thing, then it'll put you in a mindset of like, I'm not who I want to be, this, that, and the fourth, failing to realize that there are other things that you need to do. Like, you can go out and you can be successful, you can have all this stuff, and then whatever is meant for you will find its way because it's going to naturally attract to you in the long run.
Okay, so now what you call this? So I kind of just want the stages broke down. What you call this, like entering your cocoon? I mean, I know as a caterpillar, you don't spend your whole life in the cocoon. So, like, when do you start entering that cocoon to start flourishing? You know, as you enter in the cocoon, you still not the butterfly yet. Like, when do you start entering that cocoon? When you start noticing stuff like that?
I think it's when you finally take the time, like you sit down and you have that time with yourself and you be like, okay, what is it that I don't like about myself, or what is it that I want and I don't have at this moment, or where I want to be at this moment and I'm not, and what steps I need to take. Is that stage, like when you realize, you sit down, you have that talk with yourself, like, hey, I don't really like myself right now, let me write it out, or let me talk to myself, talk to God, whatever it is that you do, like have that me time and figure out what it is. And then from that day forward, like try to break those habits that might have you where you're not, have you where you're not, have you where you don't want to be at the moment. So once you have that, like that's why I said I think it just depends, like there is no age, because I feel like you can enter multiple caterpillar to butterfly stages in life, because there are times where like what you used to like was good, but now you're a whole nother person at this age, so you're like, okay, I don't like this, so now you have to go back into that cocoon and start back all over again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it actually makes perfect sense. Everybody's going to hit different peaks at different ages, and some people come out butterflies and have to learn how to be a caterpillar. That'll set you back too. But okay, now you're cocoon. Like, this is considered mastering your alone time, right?
Yes, that's exactly what it'll be.
You know, I have an episode, Alone versus Lonely. Make sure you check that out if you haven't heard it already. But so now you're in the cocoon and you're noticing things about, I know everybody's time is different, but like when you was in that phase, how long did it take for you to get to the point where it's time to come out of it?
I think that's a good question. For me personally, like it was a slow transition, because it was like I thought I was ready to come out and I would start doing things, and then it was the matter of like getting over some fears and stuff like that. But I learned to put like my trust and faith in God and know that like whatever was meant to be will be mine. Whether I failed or succeeded, it didn't really matter at that point. I just wanted to go out and do things that I always wanted to do. But like for me personally, when I entered my cocoon stage is when I actually started the fast, so like the little Lent 40-day fast for Easter, and it was just very eye-opening for me. And like I end up, after the 40 days, I kind of like I kept going until the end of the semester, and that's when I realized like things started to come in fruition for me and stuff like that. And I realized, okay, I can't be the person I want to be. It's the matter of just making sacrifices, overcoming fears, this, that, and the fourth. And I got better. I did backslide, and I had to do a whole nother transition again. But I think that, I don't know if it's a whole nother transition or just like another stage for me. And that was after I graduated. I felt like I entered back in the cocoon, because life after graduation is not necessarily what everybody tells you it would be.
Yeah, you know, they tell you you're going to graduate, buy a job, become successful, make 6 figures by the time you're 25. That's what a lot of counselors tell you. But can I say that you probably didn't re-enter the stage? You know, maybe you was a butterfly, but you just didn't spread your wings yet. It's a process. My grandma always tell me, you know, spread your wings. You're young. Spread your wings. You gotta fly. And just because you're a butterfly don't mean people see your colors yet. You know, that's what people really, you know, in the caterpillar to butterfly stage. You know, the colors for a simple-minded person. And it's no disrespect, but caterpillar to a butterfly is more about the colors. Like when you open those wings, what type of butterfly are you going to be? How beautiful are you going to be? But if you're not prepared to fly, you can open those wings all you want to. You're still going to fly in the wrong direction. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you were flying, but then you got hit by a gust of wind and you flew in a different direction. Sometimes that happens. But I don't know, as a male, I think a male is a little bit different. Like, we more are in tune with having the biggest muscles and being the tallest. And, you know, when you get older, it becomes more of a standpoint of having the most females. And you will meet males who are super successful that do it, but I feel like even though women struggle with a lot of mental aspects first, and I think another reason why it seems like y'all struggle first is because you mature faster. We stay immature way longer, naturally, because that's just how it is. But I think women just flourish quicker, which allows them to hit those mental standpoints way faster than we do, which is why it takes us so long to even get to the point of understanding the female. Like, why she so uptight? Why this? Why that? And as a male, we probably spend more time hurting females' feelings than we know. Because generally, you could be with a woman and she can love you to death, and you could say something like, "Hey, you got a big head," and you think, "Well, I always say she got a big head." Or you said at the wrong time, and she thinking she got a big head. You might hurt her feelings, and she might not show it. So, a caterpillar to a butterfly, you know, and you believe that you can have multiple of those, right?
I do.
In theory, can I challenge the theory?
Go ahead.
Why I take the Phoenix approach to life.
The what?
The Phoenix approach.
What is that?
Have you ever seen Harry Potter, any like mythological movie with a phoenix in it?
No.
Okay, so the Phoenix approach to me is a phoenix. When a phoenix dies, quote unquote, it doesn't die, it burns, and it's reborn through its own ashes. So, when women go through a butterfly to caterpillar stage, I believe men go through a transition of being a phoenix, and women too, because our zone is more about being reborn through our mistakes, and that's human nature. Men are reborn through their mistakes. They crash, we burn, we rise to the ashes to become a whole new bird. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
While women, y'all process is more drawn out, more thought out, more personal. Because I can be hurting as a man, and my pride won't let me show it to nobody. You know, a man, we don't like for nobody to think we sick. We don't like for nobody to think we weak. We don't like for people to see our emotions. That's just being a male. That's just how, even if you don't have a father figure in your life, that's just how being a male is taught. Even when you go to school as your friend, like I said, like a lot of males, not to be inappropriate, a lot of males learn about sex through school. Like, and it sounds so stupid when you think about high school as a man. Like, I learned about, like, most males learned about sex through their friends who had no experience, but may have had a father figure in their life. So that's another reason why boys be so wide open, as my mother would say. It's because a lot of us, unfortunately, especially in certain communities, our fathers, or, you know, it wasn't cool to talk to my mama about sex. Like, I'm not talking to my mom about that. I'm 25, and I still probably wouldn't talk to my mom about sex. I know some people have more cooler relationships with their mother, but mine was always, you're my mother. You know, my mom always say, I'm your parent, not your friend. I think you more or less become your parent's friend when you get older, and you realize how many ways you gotta like. So, butterfly, like, what's next? Like, even if you are a butterfly right now and you flourishing and life is good, what's next? Like, what's the next level of growth for a butterfly?
To keep flying, just like Dory from Finding Nemo. She's like, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. For a butterfly, is to just keep flying and doing what you need to do to stay above all the wind and all the people trying to catch you and stuff like that. Just keep your eyes on the prize and you'll get exactly what you want.
And that's in all aspects of life, right?
That is in all aspects of life.
And I believe that. But, you know, like I said, I feel like since women are more internal beings than men are, the caterpillar to a butterfly stage fits y'all perfectly. And since men, we base a large part of our life off physical attributes until we grow up and realize, like, that doesn't matter. Like, to me, I visualize being 6-something since I was little. And then when I finally reached 6-something, I visualized and practiced having a deep voice. That's how we're here today. I've been working on this since 9th grade, 8th grade. You know, it's simple stuff. Having hair on your chest, having pubic hair, being able to dunk, being able to shoot the furthest, being able to run the fastest, being able to be the best quarterback, running back, wide receiver. As a man, like, being able to hit the hardest. As a man, especially going to Dillon High School, home of the Mighty Wildcats. They won Dillon High School football, won team of the decade. It's pretty impressive. I was there for a good stretch of that. Well, like a third of it. But especially going to Dillon High School, there's so many gifted people. Like, you feel like you behind the curve and you fall into peer pressure. Even if you don't realize you're in peer pressure, like, you find yourself trying to compare yourself to somebody else. Right?
So you're saying, so how's that not a caterpillar to a butterfly?
Well, like I said, they go hand in hand. It's all about being reborn, right? Mm-hmm. Well, a caterpillar to a butterfly is better transition. It's more of an internal. It's more of a personal transition. A phoenix is being reborn through the ashes. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I said women more or less. I mean, you can go through both. But I feel like women's process is more delicate than a male's, even though they're both equally as important. But as a male, when I finally get past my physical stage, then it's time for me to be a caterpillar and turn into a butterfly. And a lot of men will be like, I ain't turning into no butterfly. It seems like a feminine thing, but it's a feminine process because most men become successful when they understand the feminine things of life. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We live in a patriarch society. You know what that is?
Yes, I do.
What's a patriarch society?
Wow.
I have to put you on the spot. Everybody get put on the spot. What is a patriarch society? You're a black woman living in this world.
Men rule everything in a sense, and to be more specific, white men rule everything. So yeah,
Okay.
your laws, your rules, everything come from a male mind perspective. Like the abortion law, like how are you gonna make a law on abortion and you're not a woman? Like, you know nothing about a woman's body, you never experience what a woman goes through, so how are you gonna sit there and make a whole law on it and you know nothing about it?
Okay, so just we staying on topic, but being a black woman, like in a workspace, like, do you ever feel counted out, like, or just being a woman in general, seeing other women, white women, in your workspace? You don't have to talk about where you work. You could just talk about, like, do you feel counted out? Do you feel overlooked? Do you ever just feel like, you know what, this is not good enough, they're not going to pay me any attention? And it's a double-ended question, because I want to know, like, at the end of that, did it like actually pay off for you by just being you? So the first question is, like, how is it being a black woman in a workspace that's probably dominated by males? You know what I'm saying?
So being just a female in general, there are days where I feel like I'm overlooked, but most of the time, honestly, I just feel out of place because the vast majority of my team is males, and I'm literally like the only female on my team. So there are times where it's like I don't sit in the office with them all, like, pretty much ever, because like I just feel out of place. It's like naturally I'm naturally an awkward person anyways, so then like to me it's just awkward because it's like times like there are conversation or things that want to be said, but they out of like, and I get it, like out of respect they won't say those things because like I'm in the room, or like if I walk in the room I can tell like maybe they have been talking about something that's not all that appropriate, and they'll stop when I get in there. Now it's like I feel like I'm intruding their space and like they're fun in a sense, so it's like, okay, I'll hurry up, do what I need to do, and then I'll leave. But being a black female in the workplace is like, honestly, since there's not a lot of females in general where I work, I don't really necessarily feel like I've ever had to experience yet being like a black female in a workplace. So that is something like maybe I have, and like I'm just overlooking a lot of this stuff. But like, since, like I said, there's only 2 female leaders where I work, so, and we're both minorities, I never really experienced anything like that. And then like the last building that I was in, my manager was an African American male, so like he made sure to do things that like maybe I wouldn't like see, but he made sure to put me in places and have me do things to make sure like I stood out. But like overall, like when I felt like I was being overlooked and I just felt awkward, I learned to just like, at the end of the day, like I keep saying in this episode, like what's meant to be will be for you. Sometimes it will take time for you to get that, but like I myself, that's one thing my parents were very, very advocate on, like growing up, is to be yourself, because at the end of the day, that's all you can do, and you owe that to yourself, because whether you have that job or not, you can't be like, oh dang, if I was been myself, maybe things would be better. Like, no, I'm going to be myself at the end of the day, whether you like it or not. And it took me a while to learn how to be myself, and that was, once again, I think for me, people say college is a scam, blah, blah, blah. But like for me, college was a lot for me. Like I found myself in this, that, and the fourth. And when I started to be myself, people actually started to judge me. And like I remember one time we were hanging out with our friends, and we had barely had been drinking, and I had said something, and she was like, okay, that's enough, you don't need to be drinking anymore. And I was like, girl, I am not intoxicated like that. Like, I'm just literally just saying what's on my mind. But once I learned how to be myself, I became happier. It is overall, like, whether things go right or wrong, I know that I'm being who God called me to be. Like, we're all meant to be different. Stop trying to put yourself into this box, fix yourself into this mold that everybody thinks you can be, and just go with it. Like, for me, like, people always tell me that I'm sassy or I'm bossy, and it's like, okay, I'm not sassy and I'm not bossy, I'm just doing my job. And in a sense, I've learned how to work with that. Like, I have a very playful personality, so at times I don't think people know when I'm quote unquote being bossy, because I know how to, like, word it and be jokey but serious at the same time, and I get people to do what I need them to do.
So you be throwing shade.
I won't say I be throwing shade. It's just like, I feel like I know how to connect with people in a way that most people struggle with. I feel like that's just something I'm naturally good at, to where I built those relationships to where I'm able to be that way with people, and it's not offensive, so they don't think I'm throwing shade, because I don't think I'm throwing shade. I'm just like, okay, you're doing too much, or I need you to do this, and you're complaining too much. I need you to shut up and just do what I asked you to do, and they do it.
I like throwing shade. I'm a shade master. But it's more of a direct shade. Like, it's not being shady. It's like just being real. You know what I'm saying?
Then that's not shady. In a sense, it depends on who it is. If it's like somebody you don't like and you say something, then yeah, it's shady. But if it's like somebody you're cool with, it can be shady, but it depends on where your heart is when you say it.
So, what did you go to college for? Like,
So I went to UNC Greensboro. I have a degree in sociology with a concentration in criminology and a minor in African American studies.
African American studies. And I asked, like, when you was taking your African American studies class, was there an African American teaching it?
I think I had one.
And the others were?
They were white.
So they got white people. Let me stop for somebody to think I'm crazy. So you learned African American studies from a non-African American.
Yes.
Whew. And that happens a lot. So I hope a lot of people understand. Like, I asked that question because I've seen it happen so many times, and it's no disrespect, but it doesn't make sense. It's like me trying to teach Chinese culture or Asian's culture, excuse me. And it's like, why is the African American teaching us Asian culture? Even though I probably could do a good job, it's more relatable when there's actually an African American doing it. So what made you want to be in that, like, have that degree?
Honestly, that wasn't even like my original like major I went to school for. I started off as a media studies major. But then, like, I had a sociology class. Literally, it was an 8 a.m. class. And everybody who knows, you go to college, one thing you don't do is take an 8 a.m. class.
Oh, it's the worst.
But I need another class, and I'm pretty sure that's the one my advisor put me in. And I loved it. I, like, genuinely loved it. But it's also something I have been interested in since high school. But the area that I come from, the school didn't have the funding to do stuff like that, to have that type of class. Like, even online, I took online classes in high school, and sociology was one of the classes I wanted to take. And they're like, oh, but we don't offer that one. So it was something I always had interested in, because I always interested in people and stuff like that. And I finally had the opportunity in college to take it, and I fell in love with it. And I would really think my professor made me fall in love with it too, because she was just like so amazing. It's literally like one of the few classes that I had, where it wasn't like they put up a PowerPoint and they're just reading directly off the PowerPoint, and what's on the PowerPoint is in what the book that they require for you to buy. So like she literally was like just write stuff on the board, and she knew exactly what she was talking about and stuff like that. And it's like that made me more interested in the subject, because like I had a professor who wasn't just reading word by word from a PowerPoint. Like she actually knew her stuff, and I just fell in love with it, and just like figuring out why people are the way they are, because I naturally, like, I'm a carer. I love people in a sense. I love people, but I don't like people at the same time. But I just want the best for people. So in a sense, like, if I could understand them and, like, understanding, like, okay, well, it's because they were brought up in this type of situation or blah, 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 I would be able to connect with people better and do what needs to be done to help them.
Me personally, in my experience, I actually believe that psychology and sociology teachers are normally those are normally the best classes. Like literally in my psychology class, we're in there taking personality tests, and I went to DeVry, so it wasn't big classrooms. It's like 12 people in the class, and everybody was different. So like you got me. I'm just a young guy. I was the youngest person there at 19. Everybody else was 25 and up. But you got an ex-Marine. You got a cancer researcher. I've been in school with so many people that have so many jobs. You wondering why they're in school. The cancer researcher actually told me he went back to school because he missed some things along the way. But we was doing a study on, this is around the time a lot of the public shootings of African-American male was being broadcasted everywhere around the Trayvon Martin time. And we was in class, and just to hear everybody's different opinion on it, 3 hours go by and half the class haven't even spoken yet. I feel like psychology, sociology allows people to express themselves even better than a public speaking class, because in public speaking, is nerve-wracking to some who don't want to do it. But when you're talking about something you're passionate about, you don't even realize that you may be sitting down or standing up. You're mastering like your public speaking skills because you're passionate about it. And I was more on the psychology side, the more one-on-one personal side, the more I guess I'm crazy because I just like to understand people's brains inside and out. And I guess that came from just, have you ever met somebody and like after like 15 minutes they just tell you all their business?
Yes.
Yeah, so when you're one of those people that can meet somebody and they just tell you everything about themselves, you may look at that person like, you do this to everybody. I look at it like, well, I must have really been like, made them super comfortable. So I didn't go into I wanted to be a psychiatrist and all that nice stuff, but I heard that eventually going that direct path will cause you to like be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like constantly hearing people's problems and things like that can actually cause psychiatrists, therapists, all of them, even though they're supposed to be the people trained for it, can actually cause them to go into a state of depression because they hear so much. But yeah, just keep flying, butterfly. That sounds weird, don't it?
I just want to like go back on something you said. How you say like, well, let me put it this way. We will always say, like, me and my best friend will always say like, hey, really feel like a sociology or like a psychology class like should be mandatory. And we even talked about this in like one of our classes, and our professor will always constantly say like, people don't know what they don't know. So in the sense, like, as bad as it sounds, and I get it, like, it's 2020 and stuff like that, and racism is still a thing, but like, you have to think about, like, if they grew up and that's all their parents taught them, and the area that they're from, that's all, like, they did, like, it's, like, just be disrespectful and not treat people in a very kind manner, like, that's all they know. But, like, if you would, in a sense, force them, if they went to college, and college is not for everybody, and made them take those classes to be, like, had their eyes open, it would help with a lot. But at the same time, my professor would say, hey, like, yeah, it's fine, make it a requirement for everybody to take these classes, but like, if they don't want to be in these classes and learn these things and be, as you would say, passionate and speak up, the class is not going to do anything. So in a sense, I feel like if people will open up their mind and just be more willing to learn and understand, like, they're not always right. And I get it, everybody is raised differently, so your mindset and like your outlook on life is going to be different, which is fine. It's only, for me, I feel like it's only fine to an extent, as long as nobody's getting hurt in the long run, then everything would be fine. And I think if everybody was open that way as well, that would help people flourish earlier or stay flourishing throughout their life.
Well, I'll just piggyback off that. I feel like a lot of people go to college and don't necessarily take advantage of those classes because, like me, I come from a small town. They didn't have the funding for things like that. So they didn't have, we had a vocational school. Dillon County did a pretty good job. But you got some schools where they learn the animatronics and all this crazy stuff. No, we wasn't on that level, We didn't even have a wrestling team. To me, that's one of the steps that your school is good. You got a wrestling and lacrosse team.
We didn't have a lacrosse team. I come from a small school.
I'm saying, okay. And you go to some schools and they got everything. And they still wasting it. But I don't think it should be a mandatory class. And I'm going to say the reason why is because even though it's a great experience and things of that nature, I feel like it's for the open-minded. And you don't want to force, like what your teacher say, you don't want to force no closed-minded, underlying racist or sexist person to be in those type of class. Because what if you have someone who's, somebody who's just super racist in a class full of black people, right? And then they call on them about police shootings, and then they say something out of the way because they feel pressure, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Sociology, psychology, to me, is for the open-minded. African American studies, if you want to take that, you can go that route. But I feel like I don't believe college is a scam. I believe people think college is a scam because the amount of debt you accumulate on the belief that you're going to become rich as soon as you leave college. Not happening. Not happening to most people. People think college is a scam 9 times out of 10 because they don't understand the aftermath of you have to work your way back up to be something. And I know everybody want to be instantly rich, but it's not for everybody. A lot of people don't attain that level until they're in their 30s. So I get exactly what you're saying. Them classes are amazing. And you probably feel that way because you're open-minded and that's what you like. But some people are more buttoned up. Some people are more bottled up. They don't want to speak, or they might let somebody got a speaking disability or something crazy. It will probably just put more mental strain on them and break them down more than build them up. So I get exactly what you're saying. I used to feel the same way. These classes are amazing. Everybody should take them. But it ain't meant for everybody, you know what I'm saying? This ain't college, ain't meant for everybody. But mental mind states and things of that nature, you should learn about it in whatever capacity that you want to learn about it. Miss Macy, you've been great. I think you represented the females well. How you think you did?
I think I did okay.
You've been talking loud the whole time. What you say?
I think I did okay.
You gotta be loud and proud. Thank you for being on the Give 'Em More podcast. Like I said, this is episode 14. This is the season finale. I prolonged it as long as I could. This season 1 has been my baby. It's the start of things. This is the outro. Caterpillar to a butterfly / the Phoenix theory, but it's gonna be called a caterpillar to a butterfly. For sure. But thank you, everybody. Thank you to Tony 7, 8 Ball Kane, King Bars, IMB Versa, everybody who let me use their music, everybody who decided to be a guest and help me out. Thank you to my team, my friends who inspired me to, not necessarily inspired, but just gave me the backing to, jump off the porch and do something with my alone time and start something and master that eternal nine that's in me. These are all, excuse me, I didn't say thank you to Trey. Thank you, Trey, for coming on as well and educating people on the financial and housing market. I really appreciate you for coming. This is Give 'Em More Podcast. We got a long way to go working on the video, the audio, everything get better in season 2 because all we can do is get better. I don't know exactly when season 2 is going to start. I'm assuming in 2 to 3 weeks, but we may come out with Supporter Corners episode because a lot of you was nice enough to give me topics and I haven't done them all yet on purpose. I want to release those on Fridays and Mondays, short episodes in between while we work on season 2. And like I said, thank you to everybody who tuned in. If you made it to this point in the episode, I really appreciate you a lot. Thank you to my mother for her great comments. Thank you to Crystal for her great comments. You ladies are amazing. And, it's just been an amazing journey. Also, thank you, Macy, once again, for being an amazing guest. It's your favorite host, doing the most. I love the most. It's Mo Williams. I might keep the slogan. I don't know. I might switch it up. Working on the intro song. But thank you guys for tuning in. This is Give 'Em More Podcast, and we out.